Oh, hey guys, like it wasn't just 30 seconds that I turned this camera off and turned it right back on. So, I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about something that I saw from President Trump, basically, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I've seen a couple reels here and there, but I really wanted to kind of like have an open conversation about this, and that is about Trump making a deal with Argentina to bring in beef. So we're going to talk about that, but really quickly, I want to shut this door. Hope that there aren't bees. And if there are bees in the door, because I leave the doors open all summer, and if there are bees, then they're probably sleeping or hibernating or whatever, because it's very chilly. Alas, let's see. I don't see any hornets' nests. Okay, I think we're good. It's that time of year. It's getting quite chilly. So I'll turn you back around. There's Athena there. Might go to a barrel race this weekend, so that's exciting. Okay, so anyways, I want to talk about this beef situation really, really quickly. So there has been some heated discussion in my house, which I'm really surprised about this whole ordeal. And I have pros and I have cons. And honestly, I'm a lot more not in favor of this than you would think, but we're going to go over it. So basically what's happening is the prices of beef at the supermarket are ridiculous. Let's call it what it is. And so also we should probably address this right off the top. The beef herd in the United States of America is equivalent to what it was in like the 1950s era. Think about how many more people we have living in this country right now than we did in the 1950s. Okay, so this is like a significant supply and demand issue. This is like basic, we learned about this in 7th grade, supply and demand. So this is very, very, very basic fundamentals on our economy and the way things work. So beef prices are high, but we also are going to look at the prices of day-old bottle calves. So I've said this in videos before, I'll say again. Back in 2020 and 2021, we bought day-old bottle calves, and I think I paid $73 and $97 for a day-old bottle calf heifer. And these were actually darker, like black-hided calves. So you would think they were pretty desirable. They were also heifers, which typically are more desirable. Now, you can't get your fingers on one of those things for less, and this is in my area. I don't know what it is where you guys are at, but I think it's pretty average across the board right now. You can't really touch one for less than $700, and that's low grade. The average price is around $1,000 to $1,200 in our area right now for a day-old bottle calf, which seems absurd to me because you don't know that thing is going to survive. There's a lot of variables with a day-old calf that you have to bottle feed. You're talking about scours and pneumonia and who knows what else. There's just a lot of variables. You don't know if it had its colostrum or anything. So this is risky business for that kind of money. But I believe what's happening is ranchers are sending a broker basically out to our area, and they're picking up truckfuls, semi-loads, and they're taking them back out west. And I think they're trying to resupply their herd, which is great, but it's driving up the cost. Now, we can look at this two ways. That price is absurd. We can look at it like that because that's one way I look at it. But we can also look at it like this. That price is now giving the small farmers in my area a chance to make a profit. That doesn't happen often. Usually as farmers, we are like working full-time jobs to pay for our hobby. That's what it boils down to. Small-scale farmers usually never turn a profit, but right now this is giving them an opportunity to see a little green, and that's pretty nice. But think about this. You're buying a calf that's a day old and you're paying $1,000, say. Now you have to pay this, and most of these are dairy calves, so we're talking Holsteins. you're going to have to feed that thing out for a solid 20 months, I'm going to say. They're not going to feed out like 18 months like a nice Angus. You're going 20 months, possibly 24 months. So that's 2 years you're going to feed this thing. And if you want this Holstein to make a decent weight, a hanging weight, then you're feeding it grain and large amounts of it. So that price to feed that calf out is just going up and up and up and up. We're not talking about what I would do. We're just talking about on average, okay? So the reason the price of the beef at the grocery store is ridiculous is because of a lot of factors. But one of them is because they're paying a whole lot of money for a calf and they've got to feed it out for a long time. Now, these market prices for calves, I want to say, has probably been rising for the past year and a half. It's been a slow increase over time that I've watched it anyways. And actually, we're probably going to go back to 2020, 2021. And I would say the prices have probably slowly increased since then. I haven't seen them come down, we'll put it that way. So it's probably just been a gradual increase. And things are really crazy high right now. Now, in my personal opinion, this is not sustainable and it's not going to stay like this for long. I think once the numbers are built back up, you're going to see the averages kind of come back down a little bit. I don't think you're ever going to get them as low as they used to be, but I think you are going to see it come down unless the market completely crashes, which is always an option because you never know what's going to happen. But even for your feeder cows that are going to auction houses right now that are ready to take to butcher or nearly ready to take to butcher, we're reaching market highs almost every week. There's a new high. So these prices are just really, really crazy. And like I said, it's wonderful for the small scale farmer because they're actually turning a profit. It's sucky for the person that wants to maybe buy a calf because now we have to pay that inflated price because nobody's going to sell them for less than market price. And if they do, there's a reason. Also, it sucks when you're going to the grocery store and you're trying to buy a roast. Now, that's probably not the only reason that roast is $25 right now at the grocery store. We're also talking about supply and demand. And again, the numbers just aren't there. If you go to the grocery store and you look, there's a few nice cuts of beef, but it's not stocked like it used to be. So we have to consider that as well. I am so conflicted. Danielle. Oh, she's so bad. Danny. We moved Freya back up here with Danny, and Danny is trying to keep her out. Freya wants to come in because it's cold. We might have to move Freya back to the back again with Olive and the littles, just because she's getting too beat up. Danny's the queen. She's the herd queen. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. I'm so conflicted with this Argentinian beef. Now, it is true that a lot of our beef is brought across the southern border. A lot of it's Brazilian. It's brought here, it's butchered in our facilities, and it's stamped as USA grade A beef because it's butchered here. They're still being brought over. We just don't have the means, I don't think, to solely support the people of this country in beef with the numbers that we have currently. It's just not possible. So that's already happening, and you're not really going to hear about that too much, but that's a thing. So Argentina, they have great beef industry, don't get me wrong, but there's always risk of bringing in new diseases to the herds. There's always a risk that you don't know how they feed them down there. You don't know what they're getting. Now, it's not to take away from the Argentina ranchers because, again, I do believe they're very good. I don't know much about the practices, but I do know that there are some beautiful, beautiful cattle that come from Argentina. But I do think while it is important to meet that supply-demand issue to help bring down the inflated prices, I also think there's much to be said about supporting and encouraging, and I'm not saying give out freebies, okay? But there's gotta be a thing to support and encourage the average farmer to come back and start trying to feed their communities. Now, I'm well aware that this is not feasible all the way around. Like, there's not enough small farmers around that are going to supply the city of Pittsburgh with beef. I get that. But I do think it would take a lot of the burden off, not so much burden. These people are making tons of money. These big beef packing facilities, these big factory farms, they are making money hand over fist. But it would take away from that, if you will, if the mom and pop farms were more able to supply their local towns. Now, that's not to say that they can't supply a lot of people right now. There's a lot of farms around me that are able to supply families with beef. The fact of the matter is, it's so obscure of an idea to the average person that they don't consider it. My butcher sells sides, quarters, and whole beefs, and his prices are usually comparable, if not a little less than the grocery store for a better product. Okay, so it's just not something that the average person considers. I just think that our whole industry needs an overhaul, and I'm not sure that, like how that looks, but I'm not sure that bringing in Argentina beef is going to fix that. I think in a way it's going to actually hurt that process. I understand the necessity of it, but I think this is a conversation that needs to be had across the board. I think we all need to start racking our heads. I do think that raising beef on grass, on forage, stop selling our family farms to big housing plans. Like, stop selling our family farms to solar farms. Like, let's get back to the basics here. We need to do grass grazing. Turn those cornfields into pastures again. Okay, let's graze our cows so that there's less input. It is possible. It is feasible. If there's less input, the prices come down. And maybe I sound like I'm rambling along, but there's just so much conversation that could be had on this topic. And I'm very, very passionate about it. Of course, I only have beef for our family. However, I am trying to rework that. I think I've mentioned it before. How that's gonna end up, I'm not really sure. I have Rebel, he's my Highland bull. He is very casually for sale. However, I'm looking to bring in a couple cows, and I would like dairy or dairy beef. That way I can provide our family's dairy needs as well as beef for our freezer. As that grows, then I can start to provide beef for other families' freezer. And luckily, I am in a situation where if I reach out to some neighbors and say, hey, I have this in place now, I'm good to go, can I try grazing your property? I'm guessing that they would still probably say yes, because I've had these relationships before and it's worked out. Right now, I just don't have the animals to be doing that with, so I just have a couple right now and we're good here. But as it grows, that's always an option, and those are the types of things that farmers need to consider. If you don't think you have enough land, ask your neighbor. Lease some acreage. It is possible to grow. It is possible to grass graze. It is possible. Things may need to change, like the size of our cows that we're trying to raise. I mean, a 2,000-pound steer doesn't finish real good on grass alone, but if you get genetics that are meant to finish on grass alone, you're going to be doing a lot better. Plus, if you have the smaller cattle, then you can graze more of them on the same footprint than the giant ones, okay? But that's talk for another time. But it is possible to start feeding our communities. But I think our communities need to be more open-minded and say, yeah, I'm going to go to my farmer and I'm going to say I want to buy a side of beef from you. I'm going to reserve it at the beginning of the year. I'm going to do a work share program or a CSA type program. These are all just different ideas and options. But I understand, again, the need to bring in beef from Argentina, help bring the prices down, to help our supply issues. I get that. But at the same time, I feel like this should not be end of the sentence, period, dot, dot, like close the door on it, it's a done deal. I feel like open conversation needs to be had. Am I working that, getting that across to you guys? It's a problem when the beef market crashes, and it's going to at some point, because where we're at right now is not sustainable. It's going to hurt a lot of people. And I feel like these are things that we need to start thinking about now, 5 years ago, you know, and to be able to make changes so that these things don't happen, or when they do, we're a bit more better prepared. So give me all your thoughts. I want all of your input down below. Tell me what you're seeing at your grocery stores. Tell me what your thoughts are on the Argentina beef. Tell me what your thoughts are as to the price of day-old bottle calves. Like, I just want to hear all the bits and pieces, because we all have input in this. And it's important that we have this talk, these types of communications. We need to keep it open, and we need to look at all sides of things and be open to hear different ideas. So with that, guys, I'm gonna hop off here because my kids are waiting for the hot tub, and it is very cold outside, so I'm not sure how that's gonna be. It's probably be lovely while we're in the hot tub. It's gonna be the getting out that sucks. But I also have to edit these videos. I've also worked a very long day, so I'm kind of tired. I do want you guys to hop on over to my website, which is anarchy-acresfarmstead.com. I have a lot of great fall scented lotions, and I also have my essential oil tallow balms on there. I have a new one. It's called Face Alchemy. It's obviously for your face. You could use it for other stuff too. But go check those out. I will be working on winter scents coming soon, and I actually am working on a new product. I'm always coming up with new products. And as soon as it's ready, I will let you guys know. I'm hoping by the end of next week that should be ready. So definitely check that out. Let me know what you guys think. And that's going to do it for tonight. So I hope you had a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.